All right, so continue practicing with those files just to continue being comfortable or learning, practicing with the pen tool. It's something that takes time and effort. But what I want to talk to you about is the next big project, and I do have a paper rubric for you as well. The rubric itself is also on Blackboard. If you lose yours and need one, you can find it there and look at it. I'll hand this out in just a second. Oops. So you are going to be drawing a still life art piece with fruit. Now granted, we have not talked a lot about color, but I think you guys know how to do basic fills, and I think you guys know how to put strokes on or take them off. Some simple gradients are populated in Illustrator. You might have seen them. We'll learn more about that, but there are some basic things. What I want you to do, whoops, let's turn that on. The rubric requires that you work off of a template layer. So I want to go over that one more time to make sure everybody understands and remembers how to use a template layer. So somewhere you need to find a starting image that you want to look at. So I'm in Google, still life of fruit, see if I can find some imagery. So here are some examples. And again, not understanding color as well as you will in a week or two, some of this will be kind of hard. But I'm just going to look at this image for a quick example. Something like this, you wouldn't be able to get all the shading in here the way they did, but you would be able to put some layers of some white shiny parts on top of the red to make that glare look like it's actually there. It would just be another piece stacked on top, right, of a shinier piece. So whichever one you use as your background idea, you're going to use it as a template layer. So I'm going to grab one. It has to have at least 3 pieces of fruit, and I want it to be a challenge thus far working off of, this is primarily using the pen tool, the curvature tool, and the pencil tool. So not simple shapes. So for a round orange, you can't just go and use the ellipse and make it a perfect circle. You have to draw it out with anchor points using one of those tools. So if I were to save this image, still life fruit pineapple, and then come into Illustrator, remember that to do this, we talked about we make a new document first, not really knowing how big our file is that we're going to use, but we'll just guesstimate. So we'll start with a letter size document, and then we do a file place. Where did you go? Here we are. And we navigate to wherever we downloaded that image, but just be quick, be slow here. Do not just hit place. This is where you absolutely have to click on the template layer right here. We also don't want it linked. Linked means it stays on your computer and I never see it. So make sure that linked is turned off. It has to be just a template layer that's going to embed it in your file, make it a locked layer that's kind of grayed out that you can work off of. So I'll say place, and then I'll see that it's bigger than my existing artboard. So I need to go into my artboard tool and make my artboard match this graphic that I'm working on. So you change, I don't want to see like a white sheet of paper with some fruit in the middle of it. I want your artboard to match the size of what you're working on. From there, you're going to see that you have your template layer, which is grayed out and locked down, and then you're going to start drawing things in layers. And again, I don't want you guys to think, oh, this is going to be so hard, because what I have to do now, hold on here, come on, oh. Some people think, okay, to get this shape behind here, I have to draw this path right here, and then I have to angle back. I have to go around this piece of whatever this is. Looks like a tomato to me. I have to go over to the watermelon, and then I have to match the edge of the watermelon. Does that make any sense, or does that seem like the hard way? Hard way. make this piece of fruit, whatever it is, the full size it is, and just stack the watermelon on top of it. You should never have a line here between this piece of fruit and then the line of the watermelon and try to get them perfectly close together. There's always going to be a gap in there or an overlay or something. That's the hard way. Make your full piece of fruit and stack it in the right order. Make the full shape. Okay, in your layers panel, I don't want it to be layer 1 with 7,000 sublayers. Make a layer for pineapple. Make a layer for the apple. Like, organize it also. And then remember, within those groups, the stacking order, whatever's on the lowest part is the bottom, the highest is the top. So you have to use a template layer. You have to do at least 3 pieces of fruit. And view. You're going to be using the pen tool, the curvature tool, and the pencil tool. I want you to really focus on the pen tool. Concentrate on the pen tool right here. Do not use simple shapes to build these or shape builders. You're using these tools. You're graded on how well you use the pen tool. Minimal anchor points. Again, if I look at a circle and it took you 17 anchor points to make a relatively uniform circle, that's way too many. Okay, it doesn't need that much. Live tracing, we did that briefly a couple weeks ago where we had Illustrator take like a JPEG and turn it into vector art. If you live trace, basically you cheat. You didn't draw any of it yourself. That's failure instantly, and I can tell what's been live traced. I know how to spot that. So do it on your own. And then remember to use a template layer and make it be embedded in the file so I actually see it. If it's linked and I can't see it, you'll lose points there as well. Okay. I expect this to take a little bit of time and thought, and I want you to get comfortable with the pen tool. So you actually have all day next week to work on it in class. It's an open lab next week as well. So between today and those hours and the week in between, you have tons of time. Maybe you want to spend the rest of today practicing with the pen tool on those practice files and getting more comfortable with it, and then start the fruit later. If you happen to be completely done with the fruit exercise, I do want a color printout in addition to it being uploaded to Blackboard. So if you're on campus on Monday in Photoshop and you are done with it and you can turn that in, then that's fine. You don't have to come next week, but I do need that color printout as well. Okay? So any questions? You have lots of time to work on it. If it takes you, I know some of you are really good with this tool, but those of you that are really good, I'm going to have higher hopes for you, that you do a little bit more, make it a little bit more exciting. But everybody else, keep practicing with the pen tool, pencil tool, join tool, dash lines. Anything you've learned so far, except I don't want you drawing shapes with the shape builder. I want you to focus on just these 3 tools of today. Okay? Yes?
Can there be stuff in it other than fruit? I mean, because the one I chose, it's like an apple, lemon, an orange, and then there's a bottle.
Yeah, whatever else is in it, if you want to do that, yes. Okay. If there's a bottle, if there's a bowl, if there's something in the background, whatever you can replicate, go for it. And again, I know we're not deep into understanding how to do color in Illustrator. If you want to play around with it and experiment or try some things or add a gradient because you figured it out, that's great. But that's not the be-all, end-all. Another way of getting different tones is, like for a banana, the lowest layer would be bright yellow, and then maybe there's a layer here and there that's a different tone of yellow, and they kind of stack and it makes it look 3-dimensional. There's ways of doing it. So have fun with it. Work, practice with the pen tool. You have lots of in-class hours to get better with the pen tool, so whatever works for you is fine with me as long as it's submitted by noon next week and I have a color copy. I'm going to keep the rubrics, I think, and hand them to you next week. if you want, this is on Blackboard, so if you need to refer to it. A template layer, at least 3 pieces of fruit, use pen curvature and pencil tool, and that's about it. Okay?